From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio, this is Marquette Now.
Good evening. I'm Taylor Morant.
And I'm Leela Byron. Welcome to another episode of Marquette Now.
On Monday, Marquette Athletics announced that the women's soccer team will be pausing practices for the next 14 days after one positive COVID-19 test in the program.
This decision comes in accordance with CDC guidelines. The women's soccer team is now the third athletic team to be quarantined in the past week, along with both Marquette basketball teams.
Students are concerned about other university decisions as well. This year, Marquette is replacing spring and part of Easter break with mental health days.
There will be 4 mental health days during the spring semester, where students are encouraged to take the day off to relax and practice self-care. Here are some of the student reactions.
So I heard that we don't have a spring break and we're getting mental health days instead. And I mean, I'm not sure my personal opinion on that, but I think just due to the fact we have such a long Christmas break, it makes sense to add a couple days back into the school year.
Spring break is kind of one long break from school and campus where you get to go be with your family and stuff. So I feel like I'm kind of upset by it, and I think the student body will be too.
Right. I guess I'd prefer them all together, but I understand the benefit to mental health days. It's definitely important to focus on mental health.
I feel probably bad about that. I mean, I think I understand why they're doing it so people don't leave campus and come back, but I mean, I don't know what a random Wednesday would do for me and my mental health.
I would have to get tested before I went home because I don't want to give COVID to my family. So just getting a couple days on and off, it doesn't really allow me to see them, which kind of sucks.
We have another update about Marquette's COVID-19 cases. There's been 53 more positive cases over the last week. The university now has a total of 440 cases since August 21st. 413 are from students, and 17 are from faculty or staff. Marquette is still at a moderate alert level. It's also still at a red status for having over 10% of tests being positive over the span of a week. Positive cases seem to be lower than last week right now, with an average of 7 new cases a day over a 1-week period. With the coronavirus pandemic, nurses are adapting to a lot of changes.
Beck Andrew Salgado has more on the story.
Whether it's staying up late to study for an important test or getting up early to get hands-on experience at a clinical, being a nursing major is hard enough. But what happens when a viral infectious disease forces significant changes within your major? To have this question answered, all you have to do is ask Mel Manguera, a junior in Marquette's College of Nursing.
The clinical is different. There's more precautions, obviously, with having to do a check every day, making sure you don't have a fever.
Beyond the in-person precautions, Manguera spoke about how learning her major online can be more difficult than in person.
You don't really learn just hearing about how to do skills. You have to do it for yourself and do things hands-on.
But for the time being, as most majors across the country are going home, nursing majors are going to work. Manguera described what it was like adjusting to in-person clinicals that are oftentimes being held at hospitals that are battling COVID-19.
They had these walls up to separate COVID patients from non-COVID patients. So it was kind of scary coming in at first, seeing that you could potentially be exposed.
Given the risk involved with being a practicing nurse during such a dangerous and unpredictable time, nobody would blame Manguera for rethinking her career path. But instead of being scared, Manguera had other thoughts in mind.
It didn't really deter me from wanting to be a nurse. I kind of wanted to be a nurse even more, just seeing how helpful nurses can be in a time like this.
Reporting from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I'm Beck Andrew Salgado with Marquette Wire.
With the uncertain times we are in, Marquette will be releasing a new economic planning website as an information hub for the university's academic and operational planning. The website will feature news and updates, virtual events, frequently asked questions, and a rumors versus reality page to provide factual information. It will also include an overview of the university's work streams and work groups to plan Marquette's future, including academic planning, administrative organization, athletics campus space, discretionary spending, employee benefits, non-academic core, and revenue generation. Although the site hasn't been launched, it will be accessible soon at marquette.edu/economic-planning.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, demand for plastic takeout containers has increased on college campuses. So has the demand for disposable masks, wipes, and gloves. Reporter Maisie Baldus explores how the pandemic's impacted campus and the environment.
Nature is one of Madeline Anderson's first loves. She carefully gestures to her poster wall of national parks, all of which she's visited, some even twice.
So this is Badlands National Park. That one's a personal favorite.
But with her college centered squarely in a sprawling city, Anderson finds it challenging to connect with nature. And as the COVID-19 pandemic rages, sustainability efforts at Marquette have changed alongside the environment. While the air above may be minimally cleaner, the ground below is not.
Like, I don't think that Marquette is ignoring the environment, but it just kind of feels like it doesn't have a connection to it.
Walking through campus, Anderson and her boyfriend, Jake Dempsey, commonly spot disposable masks and crushed single-use plasticware lining the street.
Just from what I've seen around littered on the street, people are not disposing of their masks correctly in terms of, snipping the straps to prevent animals from being ensnared in them and things like that.
Why isn't the waste ending up where it belongs in trash cans or compost bins? For Anderson, it all comes back to one key element of environmental activism.
I don't think a lot of people have an awareness of the actual process of recycling.
With new safety guidelines in place, dining halls on campus shifted from dine-in to carry-out, and plastic is everywhere. But although sporks and masks will end up in landfills, they are a necessary waste product in pandemic times, as David Nowacek says.
I would prefer to use 20 masks now than to pay for a coffin tomorrow.
And according to Alexander Abenshine, most to-go options from Sodexo are recyclable.
So items like this that obviously they say Earth Choice on it, you can see the recycling on there. These are, you can put these in the recycling bins.
The problem runs deeper than the proliferation of plastic. Some say Marquette can be doing even more to help the environment by focusing on energy overconsumption and our carbon footprint.
Marquette does not lead on the question of the environment. We are, I wouldn't go so far as to say at the back of the pack, but we certainly are not at the front of the pack.
While the administration grapples with potentials for structural change, students too can adopt more earth-friendly behavior.
If you make those small steps, you can make that difference and turn what isn't recyclable into something that is.
From Marquette University, I'm Maisie Baldus, Marquette Wire News.
In 2018, 1 in 11 households in Milwaukee County were food insecure, according to the Hunger Task Force. Because of hardships brought from the coronavirus, projected rates of food insecurity may now affect every 2 in 14 homes. Marquette's chapter of the Food Recovery Network provides stable meals to those who need it. Reporter Randy Heisman followed the club around to see the work they do.
Jess Contreras, a founder of the Food Recovery Network, has a few questions.
Do you care about the planet, and do you care about your community?
Club volunteers have a routine for night pickups at the brew. First, grab the extra food from the coffee shop. Transport the food to Mashuda Hall's kitchen. Find their hairnets and wash their hands diligently. Count the food, package the food, freeze the food. Make an impact.
We had so much food that you couldn't even see the counter on the kitchen tops. I just couldn't, I was so overwhelmed, and I was just ecstatic that it was going to a good cause and it wasn't getting thrown away.
Usually we have bags and we have to do multiple trips back to the car.
As of October 12th, volunteers have recovered over 3,060 pounds of food that would have otherwise been thrown away. That number also doesn't include summer breaks, but FRN has plans to change that.
The restaurants that are on campus, and hopefully if we do that by next semester, we'll be able to keep recovering up to summer.
The food collected by FRN is all surplus and untouched. It's donated to Marquette University Neighborhood Kitchen, who repurpose the food to benefit the most amount of people. The repurposed food is then given to those who need it in the Milwaukee community.
There's so many people that go without meals, and this club might not seem like that big of a deal, but we really do make a big impact.
From Johnston Hall, I'm Randy Hausman, Marquette Wire News.
Coming up, we take you behind the scenes of a new mural going up on campus.
And stay tuned for a look into a local Milwaukee business sharing their coffee with the community.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Welcome back. I'm Taylor Morant.
And I'm Leela Byron. The mural by Schrader Hall is about halfway done. Yesterday was Community Paint Day with artist Mauricio Ramirez.
Reporter Vanessa Rivera participated in this event and has insight on the meaning behind the art.
What was once a plain wall is gaining lots of color and meaning. Community Paint Day was held yesterday for community members to come and contribute to a new mural on the north side of Holthusen Hall in Varsity Theater. From painting to spray painting, students were able to put their hands to work. But none of this would be possible without the artist, Mauricio Ramirez, who made this art piece possible.
The title of the mural is called Our Roots Say That We're Sisters, and I think this mural ultimately is about representation and how a lot of members of the Marquette community are a little bit invisible and stuff. So this is a mural to kind of build equity, inclusivity, to really show the natural beauty that we have here on Marquette campus.
Part of the meaning comes from generations at Marquette.
We're creating this site-specific mural here on Marquette campus that showcases some of the alumni that have passed through this campus and stuff. The figures behind me are kind of representational of certain backgrounds.
Antonio Gomez is a visual artist that occasionally works with Ramirez for art pieces. Gomez sees what the colors of the mural brings to the campus.
I appreciate the amount of diversity that it's bringing and the vibrance to the neighborhood. I mean, all the architecture here is very standalone, very historical. But then, as far as the color schemes, it all kind of just blends in. Where you add something like this, it really makes the neighborhood pop.
While the colors bring liveliness to Marquette's campus, Ramirez wants the mural to be a representation of the culture.
I want people to see themselves in it. I want people to see that, Marquette does have culture. It's not just this, plain Jane, university that, we got some flair. And not only that, but the city of Milwaukee.
And that vision Ramirez has resonates with one particular student that came to Paint Day.
To me, this kind of has meaning because I am a woman, I'm a person of color, and just like this represents me and like everybody else like me. And yeah, it made me so happy to see that we were gonna have this mural here.
I'm Vanessa Rivera, Marquette Wire News.
When you're watching a Marquette basketball game, you typically hear the loud sound of the pep band. This year, we may not get to hear the band at the games, but that hasn't stopped Marquette's band from playing this semester. As Marquette Now's Matt Yeasel reports, the band is continuing to work this semester.
Let the music be played. The Marquette Band this semester has continued to practice and perform, all while navigating challenges presented by COVID-19.
Well, obviously we're in smaller groups. I think the largest group I'm in has only 12 students, and we're all spread out in the room.
There are some changes to what it is like for the musicians on stage, but the big change is the audience they're playing in front of. And this is what their instruments look like. Specially made face masks, covers for the instruments, and much shorter rehearsals are just some of the changes made in order to keep everyone safe.
We all have bell covers, so basically they're just a giant piece of fabric we put over top of where all of the air comes out of all of our instruments.
Normally at this time, the band is playing at volleyball games and preparing for basketball. Now, things are a little different.
Obviously, we love student support. We've always loved them attending our concerts in person, and obviously since that isn't an option anymore, we still have, our live streams online. Our concerts are almost always at 2 p.m. on Sundays, so our next ones are coming up actually in 3 and 4 weeks.
From Varsity Theater, I'm Matt Yazel, Marquette Wire News.
Marquette Radio's Rockathon is this Friday at 5 p.m. 4 bands will be playing on a live stream to raise money for the Pavlov Foundation. Marquette alum Jeff Costalas started the organization to improve the lives of children living with cancer and to invest in pediatric cancer research. Viewers can donate to Pavlov on Venmo or through a link provided by Marquette Radio. With the temperatures dropping, the end of farmers market season has quickly approached Milwaukee residents.
But at the Shorewood Farmers Market, customers have been in for a surprise at one local vendor shop. Reporter Sam Arco has more on the story.
About 15 minutes north of Marquette's campus in Estabrook Park, Shorewood, you'll find the sweet sights, sounds, and smells of the Shorewood Farmers Market. Open from 9:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. on Sundays, not even COVID-19 can stop these farmer market faithfuls from getting their kettle corn or apple cider this fall. Although farmers markets are commonly known for their produce, the talk of this market isn't about its fruits or vegetables, it's the coffee. Meet Brian Stoffel, whose story is unlike most coffee companies. Stoffel and his family harvest coffee beans all the way from Costa Rica, where they live during the winter months, and then bring them back to Milwaukee to sell them.
My wife and I, we were teachers. We were middle school teachers in Washington, D.C. We, I guess you could say, retired from that 10 years ago. And we said, we'll take a year off and live somewhere. And so we chose Costa Rica.
What also makes Stoffel's coffee stand out from its competition is that the customer actually sets their own price for their coffee.
From the family that runs the farm, the grandfather, his name's Don Gerardo, he always likes to say, I'm a terrible businessman because my currency is friendship.
For many first-time customers such as Marquette Jr. Camilla Swanek, her experience was like no other.
So it's nice that they don't exclude people that can't afford a $5 cup of coffee. They just could donate $1 or even like a couple cents and still be able to enjoy it, while someone who could afford a $5 cup of coffee might be able to pay a bit more to support it.
Besides the great story and the great coffee Stoffel brings to the market, it's his hospitality that stands out to the Milwaukee community.
Half the reason the coffee tastes so good is because the interaction is just as good.
For Marquette Wire News, I'm Sam Arco.
It's been a bit cold out this week. In the last few days alone, I've had to bust out my winter parka to walk to class. So Maisie, what can you tell us about the weather in the next 5 days?
Yeah, I can still see students wearing their fall jackets, but many are bringing out the winter coats because it is getting quite a bit colder. Right now, it is 48 degrees and partly cloudy, with the humidity at 48% and precipitation at 0%. The winds are coming in southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. As for the overall state, the lows up in Superior are 26 degrees, in Eau Claire 30 degrees, Green Bay 35 degrees, Madison 34 degrees, and here in Milwaukee 38 degrees. For the state highs, up in Superior it's 32 degrees, Eau Claire 38 degrees, Green Bay 41 degrees, Madison 43 degrees, and here in Milwaukee it's a warm 45 degrees. Tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 38 degrees, humidity at 71%, and a 10% chance of precipitation. The winds are coming in from the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Looking into tomorrow, it'll be cloudy and a high of 45 degrees. The humidity will be at 73% and 20% chance of precipitation. The winds will be coming in from the northeast at 10 to 15 miles an hour. For the extended day forecast, on Friday it'll be partly cloudy with a high of 43 degrees and a low of 34 degrees. Looking into Sunday, it'll be a high of 38 degrees with a low of 26 degrees. And all the way on Tuesday, it'll get a bit warmer, a sunny 55 degrees and a low of 43 degrees. That's it for weather. Stay tuned to hear everything you need to know about the upcoming election.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We had this like deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Marquette Now. I'm Nancy Flaherty, your Marquette Wire election analyst. With the election officially less than a week away, I'm here with the latest updates on everything you need to know about the election. The Marquette Law School finds that former Vice President Joe Biden leads over Trump by 5 percentage points in their latest law school poll. Former Vice President Joe Biden is the choice for 48% of likely voters in Wisconsin. On the flip side, President Donald Trump is the choice for 43% of likely voters in Wisconsin. And one of the questions participants were asked if they felt the candidate, quote, cared about people like them. 56% said they felt that former Vice President Biden cared about people like them, while 43% said they felt that President Trump cared about people like them. The poll was taken from October 21st through October 25th. The results are not very different from a law poll taken earlier this month. As Election Day nears, national polls are also providing a more accurate read of how the presidential election will conclude. As of today, USA Today reported that former Vice President Biden is in the lead with about 51%. President Trump following with nearly 44%. Trump has recently seen some gains in 9 of the 12 swing states, but Biden still leads in 10 of them. Among these blue swing states are Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, all of which were crucial to Trump's wins in 2016. Trump's campaign saw growth in Ohio, Arizona, Florida, and Georgia. However, Biden saw some unprecedented growth in Iowa and Texas. The 2020 presidential election is just 5 days away. If you're a first-time voter and are confused about how you can vote, don't worry because we've got you covered. Reporter Emma Coffey reports on how Marquette students should be preparing to vote.
At a time when our nation is so divided, it's crucial that people vote in the upcoming presidential election. At Marquette University, all corners of the campus are encouraging students to vote.
It's your right to, and you have the power to make change, so why not use it?
Member of the Marquette College Democrats Club, Eric Rollholm, explains what his club is doing to help Marquette students prepare to vote.
We have a pretty robust voter engagement and voter registration program where we table every week, make sure that people are able to register to vote, that they have their documents to get ready to go.
He urges that students vote early because lines on Election Day are going to be quite long. Union Station Manager in the Alumni Memorial Union, Riley Lade, says students have been coming in these past few weeks to get their votes in. If you haven't gotten your voter ID card yet, it's not too late.
We're open till 8:30, I think 8 on Election Day for anyone who still needs their voter ID so they can go out and vote.
Member of the Marquette College Republicans Club, Philip Anderson, also encourages Marquette students to go out and vote.
I think right now there's a lot of things with COVID going on. I feel like there's a lot of political crossroads that our country's at right now, and so when that's the case, the elections are even more pivotal.
In order to avoid long lines on Election Day, there are multiple early voting sites, like the Milwaukee Public Library Bayview branch, that is open until Friday, October 30th. I'm Emma Coffey, Marquette Wire News.
And for those voting absentee, time is almost up to vote. Some of you might have seen a banner flying around campus encouraging people to vote. As of a Supreme Court case decided Monday, Wisconsin is accepting ballots that are received in by the day of the election. Results will be calculated up to 3 days after the election from mail-in ballots. As of Thursday, 1.1 million people returned ballots by mail in the state of Wisconsin, and ballots are continuing to come in before next week's Election Day. The second and final presidential debate was last Thursday. Both candidates came face-to-face for the final debate after the second debate was canceled when President Trump tested positive for the coronavirus. To keep the debate more civil, each candidate's microphone was muted for the first 2 minutes of their opponent's debate topic. NBC News' Kristen Welker moderated the debate. While the candidates discussed a variety of topics, the handling of the coronavirus pandemic was one of the first questions. Other topics included healthcare, climate change, and immigration. This is the last time the two candidates will face off on the same stage. President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are holding several final rallies this week to influence any undecided voters. That's all we have for this week's election segment, but get ready for next week's segment because we will have tons of updates from the election that is happening on Tuesday. Stay tuned to hear more from Ben Wells talking to Megan Woolard about her article about the importance of Wisconsin being a swing state after the break.
Hey! There are amazing things to discover in the forest.
Toothless, time to go! What you picking up on, bud?
It's a whole hidden world of wonders. And the perfect place to spend time with family. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Welcome back. I'm Taylor Morant.
And I'm Leela Byron.
Tonight we have Executive News Editor Ben Wells live in the newsroom with news reporter Megan Woolard.
They'll be discussing the importance of Wisconsin as a swing state in the upcoming election. Ben?
Thanks so much, guys. I'm in here today with Megan Woolard, who wrote a piece on Wisconsin as a swing state for the Tribune's election insert. Megan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
I'm glad to have you here. So, Megan, everybody wants to know, what role does Wisconsin play in this election?
So Wisconsin is very important in this election. You know, it's been projected that it's going to be very close, and there's a couple of states that could be the tipping point to decide which candidate ends up becoming the next president, and Wisconsin is one of those key states.
Absolutely, right up there with Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Florida, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin, which was won by President Donald Trump last year. So obviously the stakes in this election, very, very high. What is sort of up for grabs in the 2020 presidential election?
Yeah, so Wisconsin has 10 electoral votes, and you know, each candidate needs 270 to become president. And you know, that 10 could potentially push someone over to become the new president. So it's like very important whoever wins Wisconsin.
Absolutely, I completely agree. As for the history of Wisconsin, there hasn't been one specific way that the state has always voted Republican or always voted Democrat. Do you mind going over a history of the way that Wisconsin has voted in the past elections?
Yeah, sure. So Wisconsin has primarily voted democratically, with the exception being last year's election they did vote for President Donald Trump. But up until that point, the last time we had voted for a Republican president was in 1984, so it's very blue. That being said, it's been a very close margin for like the past 20 years or so of elections, and we've had a Republican legislature since 2011.
Absolutely, and Donald Trump did win the state of Wisconsin by less than 1% in 2016, which was about 30,000 voters. So you were able to talk to some of the political science professors that we have at Marquette. So obviously this election is very excitingly happening in their backyard. What did some of the professors have to say? What did they have to say about this election?
They were very excited, you know, just because Wisconsin is going to be such a key player in the state, and they had a lot to say just about how important it is for people to vote and how important Wisconsin really is going to be in this election.
Absolutely. Well, you can catch every single minute of the election here on Marquette TV, and the Tribune will be covering it as well. Back to you guys in the studio.
That's all we have for tonight. I'm Taylor Morant.
And I'm Leela Byron. Please remember to vote.
And make sure to tune in live to NUTV's election coverage next week, Tuesday.
Good night, Marquette.